The Buffalo Bills start the season 4-0 for the first time in 5 years. Watching this team has me wondering, are they ever going to lose a game again? Katie Caldwell, Jeff Lloyd back here with you. Jeff, let's start with Josh Allen. Is there a quarterback playing right now that you trust more than him to get it done?
Absolutely not. And I think the thing is because as Josh matures, I think he doesn't use his legs as much as he could.
Mm,
And I think the part of that is, that's something, hey, I want to keep it in my back pocket. I don't want other teams to think about it. And if there's a time where the rubber meets the road or we're in a close game, this is something I can always kind of lean back on. But the more you do it, obviously, the more the defense is obviously, believing and thinking it's a possibility. The spy factor could come into it. And, Josh, I think the maturation to just having, the ultimate faith in his arm and really starting to just have the ultimate faith in the guys around him. Khalil Shakir, a fantastic player. Keon Coleman seems to be a bigger wide receiver threat that Josh can go to
mhm,
and just kind of throw up, not necessarily YOLO balls, but, Keon Coleman is 6'3". Keon Coleman has like a 38-inch vertical. And Josh knows there's balls he can put in certain place that only Keon Coleman can catch. And, James Cook, certainly there was a lot of talk about the way James Cook handled it his offseason. And James Cook was like, look, I'm not looking to break anyone's stones. I'm not
mhm,
looking to, financially bankrupt this franchise. But I'm telling you right now, I am worth some pretty decent money. At the end of the day, I think James Cook took less than probably what would have been his open market value.
mhm,
And he's not foolish. He wants to stay and, compete with this team that looks like they are, you know, in every position to be crazy successful this year. Now, I messaged you, TJ, last night. Patriots this week. Bills are at home. I think the Bills are going to win that game. Falcons on the road, going to win that game. Panthers next. Chiefs, that's a test. After that, Dolphins, Buccaneers, Texans, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots again, Browns. Week 17, the Eagles. There are 2 games left on this Buffalo Bills schedule where you would say, maybe there's a chance they lose. This team could conceivably go 15-2 at worst. At worst, because the way they play now, and Josh has really limited the turnovers
mhm,
and really limited, Josh would get caught up in the moment. And, the heat check and, oh man, I should have never thrown that. And he knew it and he knew it and he threw it anyway.
mhm,
But the older he gets, the more he matures, he realizes the ultimate damage that it does. His defense is right back on the field. They could have been tired from just being out on the field in a long previous drive. So he's starting to play the game with, the more of the overall intelligence of viewing the entire 60-minute game, looking out for his defense, looking out for his special teams. Hey, you know what? 33-yard field goal. There's no reason to do anything stupid here on 3rd and 7. Either way, we're walking away with points. And I think that is what's making Josh really separate kind of
mhm,
from the rest of the quarterback play right now is now it's not just, his ability, his talent, his want to. Now it's starting to become some more overall, intelligence and, just kind of looking out for the entire product and just how important things are like home field advantage. And it's certainly in a season that will be the final season in the stadium the Buffalo Bills are currently playing in.
It's funny though because we at the beginning of every season we look at the schedule and oh that's a win and that's a win. But the funny thing about the NFL is weird things happen, man. Like I honestly look at the Patriots as I think this could be a pretty tough test for them next week. Drake May is looking really settled in. They've got good coaching. It's all starting to come together. What is their key to victory in this one? Because the Patriots' run defense has been outstanding this year. Is Josh Allen going to have to air it out?
Well, the thing is, and if you look at it that way, now we're saying it's second year Drake May versus Josh Allen in a shootout in Buffalo. If the game is in New England, you never know. But
That's fair.
certainly you have Mike Vrabel here, and there's going to be that effect. And, there's been some stymieing to some teams' offenses to this point. Mike Vrabel is going to come in. He's going to want it physical. He's going to want hats to the ball. He's going to want Josh Allen to take as many hits as his guys can possibly
Yep.
do, within the rules. It's just the way Mike is kind of wired. And when Mike came into this job, obviously first and foremost on what can I do to make this New England Patriots franchise successful is How do I match up with the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
I, start by sweeping I'm sorry, not sweeping, splitting the season series with the Buffalo Bills? And then hopefully, it's gonna take time before you can build up a roster that's going to probably be better than Buffalo's. But, this is the landmark game for the Patriots. You start
Oh,
within your
yeah.
division and then you start putting out, your Kansas City Chiefs, your Baltimore Ravens, and outside and start stacking yourself up against the rest of the AFC overall. Um, it's going to take a really, really strong effort, in my opinion, from New England, because I think, Buffalo is very similar to Detroit, where it can be 10 to 15 minutes of real time and somehow you just got put in a blender for 14, 17 points to a Lions, to a Bills team, because they create momentum and they ride it
Mhm.
so quickly. And you go back to obviously week one and the way that game unfolded in the fourth quarter down the stretch. And all of a sudden, there was Baltimore looking around and going, what in the world just happened? We had this game put away handedly. Guys were removing tape off their wrists. And the next thing you know, they're walking off the field, carrying an L to their name. So for New England, we're going to have to see it. I think a
Mhm.
lot of us have a lot of faith in what's going to eventually be in New England, and they are going to probably have a pretty sustainable run as being that second team in the AFC East. The question is it going to be good enough to be playing ball in January? Or is it going to be good enough where, we only lost the AFC East by 3 games, and just like everybody else in this division, other than Buffalo, we're sitting on the couch, come mid to late January.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do so below. It's free and it helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NFL and NHL content. Now, back to the show. Does anything feel different to you about the Bills this season? Because they do look really complete. They're so fun to watch. But it's hard not to feel like we've had these conversations so many times in these past few years, and they still haven't made it to the top. Is it going
I
to be
think that
different?
I think the thing is you kinda look around, and this is where I kinda say, like, you're peeking over your fence, kinda looking at your neighbors' yards.
Yeah,
Kansas City,
like
it's 2
Kansas
and
City.
2.
Yeah.
Yep, it's 2 and 2. It looked a little better yesterday. You look over the other side, Baltimore, well, 1 and 3. 1 and 3, 1 and 3, and Pittsburgh is playing, okay ball. Even the Chargers, who was I was a darling about, you tell me you lose to the New York Giants, that's okay. And the Chargers, there's gonna be questions about their defense, and I really wonder whether or not that's
And
gonna be a
offensive
move they're gonna
line.
make. Yep, and, look, Khalil Mack not being there certainly doesn't help. They could certainly use probably a little more in the secondary. Could use probably another pass rusher even with getting Khalil Mack back, because we can't believe Khalil Mack is gonna be 100% when he comes back. He's gonna be playing with some sort of apparatus. So you start nosing around, and you know what? Just because, we're 4-0 and maybe everybody's not talking about us taking the AFC by storm right now, the people that we're normally competing against every January, there's some issues. There's certainly some
Mhm.
issues in Buffalo right now. And, the Chargers, who appear to be an upstart, losing the Giants is certainly a red flag. Chiefs, got back on the right side of it, 2 and 2. But, now is this going to be the start of a Chiefs run, or was this just to get out of the rut?
Mm.
I think if you're Buffalo, you just look, hey, we have the best quarterback in the game right now. We run the ball really well. Our defense is really smart, and they definitely play some bend but don't break, which is more than fine when you have that type of quarterback and you have that type of offense working for you. Buffalo, in my opinion, right now is going to be just fine because you're not going to get much pressure. And again, we just went through this schedule. So, I mean, everybody else, Baltimore still got to contend with the rest of the NFC North. We just went through this, and just looking at it, I think there's maybe 2 games on the schedule left for Buffalo that could maybe be a test.